Reawakening.
19 years ago this month, the world lost Princess Diana in a tragic car wreck. Throughout her adult life, she appeared on countless magazine covers. And for some of us, she also appeared in our dreams. In at least one instance, which we examine shortly, her sleep time appearance would prove, sadly, to be a premonition of the fateful circumstances leading to her death. Welcome to Reimagine That, the Dream Interpretation Podcast with dream expert Yvonne Ryba. I am your host, Chris Mann. In this episode, Yvonne shares with us a dream that a client of hers told Yvonne about hours before Diana would have her fateful wreck. The client had this dream the night before, and sadly, it would prove to be a premonition of sorts. So let's check in with Yvonne again and get the 411. Hi again, Yvonne. How are you?
Oh, I'm well, thank you, Chris.
Fantastic. Well, in recent months, you've had some terrific dreams from clients of yours. I'm curious, do you have anything else from your archives?
Yes, I've got a lot in the archives. I was trying to find a dream a friend of mine had way, way back in 1997.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I know. And I knew roughly where it would be in the book because it was a date that was pretty well, known all around the world. August the 31st was the date that everybody would know. And this dream was on August the 30th, and it's called Princess Diana.
Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me? Okay.
Oh, it's true. And this is what I'm going to read out what I'd written on that date. So this is so long ago, okay?
Yeah, do tell.
Right. So while my husband, Sally, that's a friend of ours, and I were having dinner in Lawrence, Kansas, which is where we lived then, Sally told me of a dream that she'd had the previous night. So now we were having this meal on the 31st, so she'd had it on the 30th.
Okay.
She was in bed when the phone rang. Princess Diana called her and asked her to come and give her a lift. Now, in the dream, it's midnight, and Sally said yes, although she usually was asleep at that time, but she went to the Hotel Hyatt and had to wait until 2 a.m. for the right vehicle or person to arrive to take Diana and Sally home.
Oh, wow.
How she got there, how dreams are. Sally went to bring her home, but she had to wait there for the right vehicle to come.
Right.
So, but that's dreams for you. They're weird. So, anyway.
That's for sure.
Back to the dream. I was there in Sally's dream, helping her to find the right number to call. Now, there were cellular phones around. I actually wrote that down, cellular phones. Remember, 97, we didn't all have cell phones at that point. I know I didn't.
They were great big.
A couple of years after that, I resisted. But, I eventually did. But there were cell phones around, but we called them cellular. And Sally was trying to get through to find out where this right person or whatever was. And a voice told her she doesn't need to wait for that vehicle. She can go in any car. That was her mother's telling her that. And that was the end of the dream.
Now, was her mother alive when she had this dream?
Frances Shan Kidd was Princess Diana's mother. And she was alive. She did die, some years ago now. I think she got cancer.
Oh, that's right.
I'm pretty sure she died. But she died a long time after her daughter. Now, this is what I wrote about this dream, right? And it was really strange because I had talked to Sally over the table while we were eating about her life because I knew Sally was having a difficult time with her husband. And I felt like this dream was part of it, was her finding the right number, was to find the right code, if you like, to open the safe or whatever you want to call it, to answer the question, what should I do? Well, you've got to call the right number. You've got to find the right direction, where you are on the map, the coordinates. You've got to know the number.
Okay.
And I felt like this dream was saying you can go in any vehicle. You don't have to worry about how to get there. You just go for it. But we got home. And we put the television on. And remember, we were in Lawrence, which is on Central Time. I'm not sure. I'm saying 7 hours, but we have this change in our times from fall back and spring forward with our, clocks.
Right.
And I'm not sure. It was either 6 or 7 hours at that point. The first thing we got was, when we put the television on, there'd been a crash in Paris with Princess Diana and her boyfriend, Dodi Fayed, And at that point, she was still alive.
That's right.
And of course, same thing had happened to Sally. She got home and put the TV on, and she phoned me and said, "Oh my God, what is this weird or what?"
Oh my gosh.
And then about an hour later, the news came over that Princess Diana had died. And so the accident happened at 12 a.m. Paris time. So when Sally had dreamed this, she had the time of the actual event.
Whoa. Whoa.
Now then, here's another thing. It didn't strike me then, because remember, I'm dealing with, Princess Diana died? I mean, this is global. Everybody knew Princess Diana. She was the most famous woman in the world.
That's right.
At one point, she was called the most beautiful woman in the world on a magazine. She was known for her work with charities, especially with children.
Yes.
Children with AIDS, children with leprosy, children in landmines. She was very much into getting that out there into the public, knowing that she could use her name to make money and help these causes.
They kind of called her Princess of Hearts for all of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in the dream, she was waiting at a hotel, and actually she was at the hotel, remember, the Ritz as it happened, when they got in the car and they were on their way, and she died at 4 a.m., her local time. Now, the last part, I didn't really figure it out until later. I was thinking the voice had said to Sally, she doesn't need to wait for that vehicle. She can go in any car. And that was her mother telling her that. So that same week, another week I think, we heard that Mother Teresa had died.
That is right. Oh, wow. And Mother Teresa and Diana were close.
Yes, they were.
They had worked on things together for children.
Yes. And there's pictures of them with their heads together talking. They got along very well. She had talked to Diana about her life and was a big, big influence on her. Uh-huh. And she was sick at that point. I think Mother Teresa had pneumonia or something. She was very old and she was gradually winding down. And in some way, Mother Teresa, I think that's what it was, that Mother said she didn't need any special car. She could go whenever she liked. And so she did.
I'll be darned. Oh,
yes, isn't it amazing?
It really, really is. Oh, my goodness. Well, Princess Diana, they called it an accident. Some people said it was not an accident. But really, this dream seems to suggest to me that whether it was driver error or somebody had caused the accident that was following them, whatever, it sounds to me like it was really Diana's time. That it wasn't an accident in the big scheme of things.
It does. And we don't know how this works, but it works. Mm-hmm. Just like we don't really know how electricity works, but we know how to make it work.
Right.
But what exactly electricity is, nobody knows. Mm-hmm. And people who say, I remember one great scientist saying, hands up, those who know what electricity is. And somebody stuck their hand up in this class and he said, well, explain it to us because nobody knows.
Right.
Know how to make it work for us, but it's a very strange thing. Anyway, I feel that Princess Diana, and really her name, to be accurate, the British took away her title when she got divorced, and her proper title was Diana, Princess of Wales. When she was married to Prince Charles, her name was Her Royal Highness Diana, Princess of Wales. But everybody called her Princess Di, Princess Diana. That was the way it was, and who cares, But that's just one of that being a Brit, So
yeah.
And I think that in the scheme of things, on major events where everybody's consciousness is linked to a certain thing, and of course we get emotional about people, like Elvis Presley, all right?
Yes.
Any major film star or singer or whatever, we have an emotional connection to them, even if we've never met them.
Sure.
We just know we love what they do and we're really connected. And when they die, especially in tragic circumstances, there's absolute chaos in people's emotions. And they tune in on their hero and heroine. They connect and they get to see what's coming up.
Wow.
Now, I remember the Titanic sinking. Many, many dreams about the Titanic sinking before it sank.
Precognitive, yeah.
People were warned not to get on the Titanic because of the dream.
Wow.
In fact, famous journalist had this dream and was told not to get on it, but he said, oh, it's just a dream. He got on
It's just a dream.
And he died.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Tell people about this dream before he, embarked. But some people had it and didn't get on it. So certain things seem to be like major emotional events.
Yes.
We all get to tune in on it.
I had not a dream, but in fact, it was restlessness. In September of '94, I was going to be visiting Hollywood I lived in Tulsa, and I was going to be flying in for a few days. And I had flown many times as a kid in college, and it didn't really bother me. I was okay with it. Well, all of a sudden, I got this overwhelming sense of dread for the flight out the next morning. And I mean, I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning. And when my mom dropped me off at the airport, I was in tears. And of course, she was in tears. Flight was fine. Get off. Arrived at my relatives in Burbank. And my mom's cousin opened the door and said, "I guess you heard about the crash in Pittsburgh." And I said, "Very funny, right? You must have been talking to my mom." She goes, No. I haven't talked to your mom. A plane crashed. It just sort of nosedived. Everybody died on the plane in Pittsburgh. Well, I went inside and there it was on the news. It freaked me out completely. I feel like I knew something like that was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen to me, but it happened to 300 other people. And boy, oh boy, did it take me a long time to get on a plane after that. And then 9/11 happened and I haven't flown since. So I understand whether it comes in a dream or just an overwhelming feeling in your waking life. Sometimes you gotta pay attention.
You do. You do have to. Your dream there, now your feeling, reminds me of something similar. Very briefly, I'll tell you, my husband and I were coming back from Washington to, I can't remember if we were flying to another place up near there or we were coming back to San Antonio. But anyway, we had to do a kind of a hop from Washington to another hub, like Philadelphia or somewhere. And we had to go to the very end where all the gates, the gates end at the furthest away from the center of the place. We had to walk for miles. And we had to go down onto the tarmac, and we got into this piddling little cigar box. So those kind of tubes you put a cigar in, those long metal tubes. That's what it looked like anyway. And there was only one seat on each side. It was just one of the tiny commuter planes that was hopping from one place to another before we caught the big plane. And I got in there and I thought, this is terrible. This is terrible. I don't like this one bit. And I thought, this is ridiculous. It's only a half-hour journey or something. But I felt terrible. I really did. And when we got off, I said to my husband, I am never getting into one of those things again. They are death traps. I don't know what it is, but they're horrible. Mm-hmm. Anyway, about a month later, I don't know whether it's the same one, but one of those, exactly the same, had the same kind of thing that happened to the plane you talked about. Mm-hmm. It crashed, killing everybody on board. And I thought, oh my God, how awful.
Yes.
But it was just like, there's something in the air that one of these or that particular one was not going to make it for very much longer. It already had sort of a death wish around it. Uh-huh. And they're not sure why it crashed. It was the weather or something wrong with the plane itself. But it was it was so fragile to me. I just couldn't believe that I was inside of one of these things.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So, and that definitely does a number on your emotional, the whole psychic thing of, oh my God. Did your dreamer, Sally, did she have a sense of, oh my gosh, now I'm going to be in a wreck? I mean, what did that dream mean for her?
Well, she obviously had ESP, but she never recognized that. Mm-hmm. It had only surfaced on very rare occasions, and she just put it down to coincidence. But this was more than a coincidence, and she couldn't just say, it's a coincidence, because it was so much like what happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In a hotel, waiting for a car, get in a car. I mean, you can take any car to get where you're going, Mother says. Just the whole thing. After we'd all looked at it, we thought, wow, you have precognition.
Midnight, goodness, right down to the time frame.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, we don't know whether this had a lot to do. She had other dreams, but she did divorce her husband some years later. They just couldn't get along. And then they moved out of there. They moved from Kansas to Florida for his job. And at that point, she started a whole new career and decided to get divorced. And I think she got remarried later on. But very interesting and a very nice person. She was a really sweet woman. who is very interested in our higher consciousness, in our spiritual life. But a very intelligent, as I said, highly educated woman. She wasn't somebody who had just come up with this story. She was just flabbergasted when we watched the news and found, what had happened.
Sure. So for her, it wasn't about her mortality, Sally's mortality, but it was about this marriage and a way out.
Yes, it was change for her. The number thing, I think, was about change. Finding the right number, perhaps the right date, the right time, whatever it would be. That was Sally's personal dictionary that I say we all have that we should refer to. And how do you feel about a particular thing in your dream? Does it feel good or bad? Does it feel happy or sad? You have to look at that and ask questions. And she was like I said, very well educated. The numbers, she was clued in on stuff way ahead of most of us.
Right.
To do with computers and cell phones and all that kind of thing, which we've all had to master over the years, But Sally was ahead there, and just a really neat woman. And so I think she was flabbergasted that she'd had a dream about Princess Diana. Like it was a connection with Diana that she didn't know she had.
That is amazing. Gee whiz. And so the presence of the cellular phone did that have a particular...
Yes, it did, and I should have mentioned that.
Because, those weren't in wide use.
Yes. Sally had written a book, and in it she had talked about, because she was very much into massage. That was one of the things that she was, I would say, not looking at. She was not researching it. Well, she was researching it in a way. She had done some work on the cellular level of memory in our bodies.
Oh, right.
And when people have a massage, sometimes, I'd say the person is working on their leg, suddenly a memory will pop up in them they haven't thought about for a long time, and it's very emotional, and they might laugh or they might cry, get upset about it, and they'd never thought about it for years. Well, research has shown that the body doesn't just keep its memory in the mind, but also stores it in various parts of the body. So that in this leg muscle, at the cellular level, when it was pushed or massaged, released this memory so that the person felt again all that emotion that they'd felt many years ago to do with somebody dying or leaving them or whatever it was. And it can be a happy memory. It doesn't have to be a bad one, but it's a strong memory.
Yep.
And so she was doing research into that. She was very clever. And I thought the cellular probably had something to do with that. Now, looking back on this over the years, what are we looking at here? 20 years? How many years is that?
19, coming up on 20.
19, yeah. Okay, so looking back on it, we've done a lot of work into the body, like heart transplants. I'm sure you've heard stories about somebody who has a heart transplant and suddenly develops a strong desire for bratwurst or beer or whatever it is. And they find that this heart or whatever part of the body they've been given comes from somebody who was very much into a particular kind of beer or food.
Wow.
Or, had some kind of special desire.
Heart's desire.
Absolutely.
Oh.
And so we know that there are parts of the body that have different memories in them. That's why with these people, and there are huge stories about this, which we can't go into now. It's too much to talk about. But somebody who talked about a particular desire that she had, and she'd been given the heart of a young, teenager, a boy. And this was a woman and a mother who had this heart. And she had dreams and so on that showed him. He came to her in her dreams. And then when she woke up, she wanted Whataburgers or something like that,
Great stuff.
She had these memories coming through, but she'd never had before. And she did eventually connect with the family of that young boy, and they said, yeah, that's him. That was what he liked to do. He liked to, I was roller skate or whatever. He loved Whataburgers. It was just, the whole thing. So she had got his memories.
Well, we all have memories of Diana, who was the Princess of Hearts. So that Sally tapped into this, and she had written a book on cellular memory and cellular phone, and so she kind of got divine guidance through this dream, it sounds like, to get to where she needed to get to. So it was ultimately an instructive, good dream for her, even though it tapped into something very, very sad that everyone would shortly resonate with the whole globe.
Absolutely. People say, dreams don't mean anything. I had a lot of people say, They're just some kind of mix-up stuff you dream when you're asleep.
Yeah.
Until they get a dream like that.
Oh.
And then they start thinking, oh, my goodness, what's going on? I have something going on inside of me I don't know about. It gives them a kick in the pants, if you like.
That's right.
Now, Sally wasn't like that, but she didn't realize that she had this ability to connect with the future. Even if it was only a day away, she dreamt it the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And when she dreamt it, I think Princess Diana didn't even have 24 hours to live.
That is fascinating. And as always, your dreams open up a door in my imagination and my consciousness about how powerful the subconscious is precognitively, retrospectively, all of these things. It's just a whole other world up there. And, well, I look forward to hearing what other piece of the world you can share with us next time, Yvonne. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You take care.
Okay, dear. You take care now, Chris. Bye-bye.
Reawakening with Chris Mann and Yvonne Ryba is a Rising Action Media production. Copyright 2016 by Chris Mann.